The Nationals. Sports Midwest brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. And by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. In our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., Nationals Park, the cloudy day, muggy afternoon, 85 degrees. And with Brad Thompson, Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. And delighted that you're going to spend your Sunday with us in a little baseball.
It should be a good one here. The Cardinals are looking to even up this road trip. Currently 3-4 on this one. A heartbreaker yesterday. A game that the Cardinals felt like they had in the bag. Had your bullpen set up for it. It didn't work out their way. They're looking to turn the page on this one.
There's Dylan Carlson at the top of Ali Marmol's lineup, the switch hitter. And then Brendan Donovan, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. Homered last night, Nolan Gorman. Lars Nootbaar, home run in game 1. And how about Paulie D? Drove in 3 last night, including a 2-run homer in his return to the big leagues. Corey Dickerson and Austin Romine. They will face the right-hander. We talked about him in the open, Josiah Gray.
Yeah, Josiah Gray, he was one of the main pieces that came over from the Dodgers in that trade of Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. Talented young arm, only 24 years old. Utilizes his fastball, the Hyundai pitch arsenal, got the 4-seam he'll ride up in the zone. Then it's sliders against the righties, curveballs against the lefties. Very rarely do you end up seeing the changeup, but he does have a tendency to leave the fastball elevated. A lot of home runs, 23 of them, that's tops in the league.
So the Cardinals, with the loss last night, dropped their record to 53-48. Milwaukee has won their first 2 against Boston at Fenway. So St. Louis starting 4 games back in the NL Central, and time is starting to tick now towards the trade deadline, which will officially come to a close on Tuesday night.
Well, and certainly every game is important. We know that to this point, but this trade deadline is going to be maybe the most important thing that happens to this team all year. Where do they find the reinforcement?
And we hope to visit with John Mozeliak, the Cardinals president of baseball operations, probably midway through. We ran into him in the clubhouse, and he looks pretty tired.
A lot of moving and shaking. I doubt there's a lot of restful nights currently.
He looked pretty beat up. Here's a 1-0 pitch. And a strike to Carlson. Ben May calling the balls and strikes. Home plate umpire. Scott Berry down at first. Dan Iasonia is the crew chief at second. And Dan Merzel is at third. And the 1-1 pitch to Carlson. Fouled back. And you're right, Brad. That was a game last night that got away that probably shouldn't. Cardinals, you're a championship team. You're a team that's going to win the division. You have to win games like last night.
Yeah, best laid plans, right? It's set up the way that they wanted to, bullpen-wise. They had the matchups they wanted, but it came down to execution, and just overall as a club weren't able to do it. But you're right, need to be able to cash those in.
A ball and 2 strikes on Dylan Carlson. And a fly ball sent out to left fielder Yadiel Hernandez under it, and the first out. Nationals defense, old buddy Lane Thomas is in center. Hernandez in left, Soto in right. And around the horn is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Adrianza at third, Garcia at short, Hernandez, Bell on the right side, and Barrera is behind the plate. Lane Thomas in his first full season with the Nats, and he's hitting .231. There's Brendan Donovan, and Donovan sends a fly ball into left center. Over to get it, Hernandez again, out number 2.
I definitely don't mind the aggressiveness, though, early in the count. You see a fastball elevated, let it rip. I mentioned the home run numbers against Gray. Well, specifically on the first pitch of at-bats, he's given up 6 first-pitch home runs. Be ready for something up.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt leading the league in hitting at .333. 2 outs and nobody on. And the first pitch taken for a ball. Goldie's had a tremendous road trip, and he comes in as the league leader in average, on base percentage, slug, and over 1,000 OPS.
It is so crazy, too, the way that Goldie goes about it. It's just ho-hum, right? It's just the expectation that day in, day out, he's going to continue to put up these numbers. There's nothing flashy about what he does and the way that he goes about it. He just puts up numbers.
Here's a 1-1. Then you think about a guy like Juan Soto, and he's got the Soto shuffle, and he's got all the confidence, and he's a big personality. There's just different ways to go about it.
Certainly. Everybody's got different things that drive them and motivate them.
And the 1-2. A swing and a miss, and Gray gets a 1-2-3 start to his afternoon. Andre Pallante on the mound for St. Louis when we come back. Pallante gets the call here for game number 3 for the Cardinals. And for St. Louis, it is game number 102 here today of this regular season. Cardinals are 4 games below the 500 mark on the road. Pallante is 3-4 on the season, and he gets the call today.
I think Andre Pallante has done a good job of steadying things in the rotation. The Hyundai pitch arsenal for Pallante uses his fastball quite a bit. Slider, curveball, you'll see that as well. But mainly it's the heater coming from Andre Pallante, and he's looking to bounce back from his last time out against Toronto. They really jumped on his fastball early, hoping to settle in quicker in this one.
First innings have been a problem too, and we'll keep an eye on that. Lane Thomas leads it off, and then Hernandez and Soto. Josh Bell, big home run last night. Nelson Cruz, Yadiel Hernandez, Luis Garcia, A-Ray Adrianza, and Trace Barrera, the 9 in the lineup for the Nats. Lane with 9 home runs, and he's driven in 34. First pitch to him is taken for a ball just a bit high. 6 for his last 14. In 9 first innings for Andre Pallante, he has an ERA of 12. So keep that in mind with those first innings. And what a play here by Goldie. Tricky hop, a lot of English on that baseball, and he barehands it, and Pallante to the bag.
This thing checked up. I mean, that's a sand wedge right there on the green, checked up, and Goldie has to go with the bare hand. He's in good position right here, but this just ties up Thomas. That's a heck of a play. Good job by Andre Pallante to bust his butt over to the right side and cover the bag.
Is that a 60 degree or a 54?
You know
what do we got?
You're a more avid golfer. You tell me the way that checked up.
That's a 60.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, I can't get mine to check up like that. And Lane Thomas does it in a major league game.
Well, it's you're wasting your time doing this all the time. You got to practice more.
I agree. You gonna pay me to go away?
No, I'm gonna need you here.
The Kia player profile, and there it is, first innings, and then what he does afterwards. Settles in after those first innings. Cesar Hernandez comes in riding a 5-game hitting streak. Couple of doubles. 6 for his last 17.
Yeah, you do have that a lot, but I mean those numbers, it's pretty astounding. A 12 ERA in the first sets the tempo for your whole day.
And the 0-2 pitch. So how do you get out of that? Is there something you can do in the bullpen warming up? What do you do?
I think there are a lot of different factors that go into it. That was one for me that I always went out there and simulated the first inning out in the pen and really threw to 3 different batters simulating those. That helped me. But I know that's something I remember us having this conversation for the longest time about Carlos Martinez. Carlos Martinez just had his issues in the first and then would settle in, and you know how nasty he could be, but oftentimes when you're in a 2-3 run hole after the first inning, doesn't matter how well you settle in.
1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on. Just underway here in Washington. The next by Pallante is a swing and a miss. First strikeout for Andre Pallante. It's good to see this guy back. Let's hope he can produce. And that's Paul DeYoung at short as we go around the horn, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Arenado, Gorman at second. Edman has the day off. Goldie at first, Romine behind the plate. Dickerson, Carlson, and Newbar in the outfield. So last night you had Tyler O'Neill. He was 2 for 2 and then left the game with leg cramps and not in there today.
We've talked about O'Neill a lot. A huge key to what you're doing in the second half. There is plenty of talk surrounding the trade deadline, will continue to be, but you need O'Neill to be a huge factor of what you're doing.
Here's Juan Soto. Trade deadline is Tuesday. His name is mentioned time and again. The Padres, the Cardinals, Dodgers, maybe the Mets. Mets will be in town this week to face the Nationals, and they'll have Scherzer and DeGrom in that series to face Washington.
Yeah, that should be fun to watch. I mean, not to face.
No, you don't want to be a hitter in that one.
Well, a good chance you might not have this hitter in that one. That's going to be tough.
And the 2-0 pitch coming up to Juan Soto. Brad, there's a chance you could have what they have in their lineup today, 3, 4, and 5, gone by Tuesday. We're talking about Soto, Bell, also being rumored to be on the trade docket, and then you also have Nelson Cruz.
Yeah, well, Nelson Cruz, when they signed him, that had to be part of the thought, is you might be able to move it.
That pitch taken high, and it's 3-1.
It just feels like these are the counts that Soto is in every single time. It's 1-0, 2-0, 3-1. A great look at it there by a wide margin. This is Secretariat right here. 87 walks on the season.
Muncy, a guy that is one of the best at taking his walks, and Soto just isn't getting pitched to. There's another one, number 88. All right, Brad Thompson, your Toyota key to the game.
Yeah, well, big key is control the curve and the slider. Basically, your breaking balls here for Andre Palante in this game. Last time out against Toronto, they jumped on his fastball, and they are the best fastball hitting club in baseball, and they can do some damage. Well, the Nationals hit the fastball really well. They don't hit the home runs like Toronto does, but they have the 3rd highest average against the fastball. Doesn't mean don't use it. You have to control that pitch, but his breaking stuff is going to be really important in this game. Can he throw the slider? Can he control the curveball? Can he throw them both for strikes?
There's Josh Bell, the home run last night. The big blast that decided the game, and he's 3 for 6 in the series. He's driven in 4, and the first pitch is popped foul and out of play. Here was late in the game, Bell, the switch hitter. The home run off of Genesis Cabrera. That one hurt.
That guy is just so consistent, and for all the talk again of Juan Soto being on the move, this guy's got quite a market as well.
And that home run was his 14th of the year. He's tops on their club in runs batted in, 57, and there's a curveball kept in front by Romine. Nice play. Josh Bell and his name linked a lot with Milwaukee. Certainly could use his services. You have Rowdy Tellez. Put him at DH or Bell DH, but it's a bat that they need.
I think Bell could be an upgrade for them around the bag.
Here's a 1-1. Chop towards second. It'll be taken there by Paul DeYoung with the shift, and the Nationals strand a runner. 1 inning in the books, and there's no score here in Washington. Sale. You can follow your favorite players wherever they go. MLB.tv for details. Here's Nolan Arenado. Home run number 19 last night. His next is 20, and that'll be 7 years that he's had a 20 home run campaign. His highest season was 42. And the 1-0. A strike, 1 ball and 1 strike.
A couple sliders in a row right there by Gray that backed up. That could be a very dangerous pitch if he ends up elevating one of those to Nolan Arenado.
And the 1-1. Last night, the victory for the Nationals, Brad, was just their 6th win in the month of July.
That's it. It's incredible. Well, they've struggled mightily on the season, and the record will tell you that. But they've struggled at home. They've struggled against their division. They've won 8 games. 8 games this year in their division.
And only 16 wins here at home.
Yeah, that's hard to do. And, I mean, for a Nationals fan, it might be nice to say, well, the future is coming. Well, wait till Tuesday. And they kind of see what the team looks like.
That's right.
What are the pieces that end up coming in? That's part of it.
The 2-2 pitch. Missed on the outside corner. The biggest trade piece out there, arguably, was Luis Castillo. And he was traded to Seattle. Mariners sent 4 prospects to Cincinnati, including 3 of their top 5, according to MLB.com. And that'll be a strikeout of Nolan Arenado. Mariners right now at 20 seasons, the longest postseason drought among all teams in 4 major sports leagues. NBA, you've got Sacramento, it's been 16 years. The Sabres in the National Hockey League, 16 as well. The Jets in the NFL, it's been 11 seasons since they have been in the postseason. And right now, Seattle owns the second wild card spot in the AL. And there's 7 teams within 5.5 games. That's going to be crazy.
It is going to be crazy. But you know what? For Seattle, good for them. Good for them to make a move like that because of the drought that you talked about. There should be some sort of desperation when you haven't been in the postseason to get over the hump. They've got a very good nucleus. They had a need and they got it.
There's Nolan Gorman. Nolan had a stretch prior to this series. He was 4 for 39. It was a 12-game stretch. Then the home runs in back-to-back games. And he's playing today in his 58th major league game and already with 11 home runs. You would think as he gets better and better, relaxes, becomes more of a vet in the major leagues, he's going to put up big numbers.
Oh, for sure. You see it. You see the smooth, easy stroke. You know there's going to be some strikeouts there. But who cares when you can do damage like that?
The lefty's hitting .252 against Gray. He's given up 39 hits to the lefties, 19 of which have gone for extra bases, nearly 50%. And the 2-2 pitch fouled back.
I think that was a smart decision by Gray to go with the fastball up in the zone there.
Well, that's where he has been having his issues. Gorman up and in fastballs.
Yeah, it has been tough, and it's a tough pitch out of the hand. It looks like something you can handle, and again, that just comes with the more reps you get. You see how people are attacking you.
The 2-2 put in play by Nolan Gorman. Softly, little shovel pass out of the glove and not in time, and that'll be an infield hit. Garcia, the shortstop, did everything he could to try to make that play, and comes up just a bit short.
Well, sometimes it's the lasers in the gap, off the wall, home runs, and sometimes you just hit a breaking ball in the right spot. And I'm not sure he was going to have time to make any transfer there and make a play on him.
Well, the Cardinals in the bottom of their lineup, they're getting production in this series. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Game 1, 5 of their 6 hits came from the bottom of the lineup. And here is Lars Nootbaar. It is sliding catch in right field. He's homered in this series. We had a big crowd last night, and with that sliding catch, you heard the Newts, and you knew then a lot of Cardinal fans are here.
Yeah, man, Newt's been a fan favorite around here. Friday night, he hit the home run. It was back-to-back with he and Gorman. The Newts were going crazy.
And the 1-0. I mean, he's got to have a candy bar of some sort. The Nootbaar. I think you've come up with something. We'll call them the Newts. We'll get a section in right field, maybe.
Okay.
You know, we got to get something going here.
I think it's going to take care of itself. He just keeps putting up numbers like he's been doing recently. This will all fall into place.
You're right. You're right. The 1-1.
You're looking for a cut of that candy bar,
I
though,
certainly
aren't you?
am.
Yeah, I see the angle.
Look, Brad, I'm only going to take about 63.2% of all intake on the earnings.
Okay.
It's a fair deal, I think.
And look, for Newt, I guess that's 37.8% that he didn't have before.
Exactly.
So a great way to think of that. I hope I did that math right.
Maybe. It was
Close
really
enough.
good, though, if you did.
Roundabout.
It's fouled back, and 2 strikes on Lars Nootbaar.
This season, though, it's been who takes advantage of opportunities. There's been a lot of different injuries throughout the season. Guys have been thrust into positions. Newt was a part of things early, struggled early, came back, 5 for his last 12 now, playing good defense. You like seeing guys be able to take advantage of what's in front of them.
So long look here by Gray. Now he's set. The shift and a 2-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Lars Nootbaar. That's number 3. And the batter is Paul DeYoung.
Well, all the strikeouts so far have been on the slider. This is another one. Starts away, stays away, ends up being on the corner. Newt sees that spin, expecting it to come into him, and it just stays out there.
Well, it's good to see Paul DeYoung back. Long home run that he hit last night. His second this year in the big leagues. Played in 51 games at Memphis and had 17 home runs. Now, he had homered in 3 straight, 6 in this month, and then last night got a pitch to drive and didn't miss it.
Yeah, so happy for Paul DeYoung, and honestly, just happy for the team. Paul DeYoung can be a big factor of what you're doing. He's another guy that can hit home runs, can drive in runs, plays solid defense. Can't have enough good players, and when he's right, he's a really, really good player.
And the 0-1 pitch to the Cardinals shortstop. Paulie, before he was sent down, he was 10 for 77 this year. So a rough start, and it kind of snowballed, and they wanted him to go down and just kind of figure things out, have some confidence. And he's done that, and he's back.
But think about how tough that is, though, to spend as much time as he did in the big leagues, get sent down. He handled it the right way.
And a strikeout of DeYoung. 3 in the inning, 4 in the game so far. Check in with Jim.
Tyler O'Neill came out of last night's game with leg cramps. He might be available off the bench today. Tyler has had more than his share of injuries this season, but the Cards say this isn't anything they're concerned about. John Mozeliak told me the last thing you want to do with someone who is experiencing cramping, especially in high humidity, is run them back out there. You want to be smart about it. You don't want to do anything that could make it worse. Our medical staff thought it best to give him a day. Danny Moe said the off day tomorrow helps, and Tyler should be back in there on Tuesday.
Tuesday night, the Cubs will be in town, and it's a homestand that features the Cubs and the Yankees. This is Nelson Cruz. By the way, there are still some seats available, but beginning on Tuesday night, every crowd at least 40,000.
It's going to be great. It is going to be a great atmosphere. Cubs are always fun. Yankees coming to town for the first time in a long time.
It's fouled back.
I don't know if you've noticed that the Yankees are playing decent baseball.
But Aaron Judge, he's the first player since 2001 with 40 home runs before August. He's on pace for 66. That 60 home run threshold, Brad, it's only been hit 8 times. It's incredible, the year that he has put together. And a base hit for Nelson Cruz. I also think one of the really fun aspects of this upcoming homestand, besides the big crowds in Chicago and New York, is Matt Carpenter coming back to St. Louis. He's having a tremendous season. He's batting over 300 with the Yankees. He's popping home runs. He's become kind of a cult hero in New York. And if you remember last year, the final game of the season, we got through 6 innings to make it a complete game. It rained, but he didn't get that final at bat in which people could really give him the proper send-off, a standing O, and to say thank you, for what he had done. He's been a very good Cardinal, so they'll get that chance, though, coming up this weekend on Friday when the Yankees are in town.
Yeah, another guy just happy for him and the opportunity that he had. He could have easily packed it in. He's made plenty of money in the game of baseball, but he talked about it last year. I talked to him after the season. He said, I just don't want to go out like that. I feel like there's more there. Well, he's showing it. 15 home runs. He's driven in 36. It's good for him.
And the 0-1 is a bouncer left side past Young into center. And Cruz will stop at second base. They had the shift on for Hernandez. He beats it, and the first two have reached. And Palante will get his ground balls, and sometimes they find holes.
Yeah, he'll get his ground balls specifically against the lefties. I mean, the lefties have a 70% ground ball rate against that fastball right there, and you have confidence that he can get another one. That's just disappointing. It finds that home in left field.
And the batter is Luis Garcia, 286, 3 home runs, and he's driven in 19. The lights are on here at Nationals Park with clouds overhead. The ground ball left side. Arenado steps on second and overthrows. He steps on third, overthrows to second, and a heads-up play there. To back it up, it's Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, it is a good job being behind that play. It looked like Nolan almost went with a no look on that one. Gets to the base and just turns and throws.
I wonder if he's better off stepping on the bag and going to first on this.
I thought that's exactly what he was going to do, is use that momentum, push off with that right leg and get it going back towards it. But we also know this with Nolan Arenado, the dude throws off balance better than anybody in the league. He's more comfortable doing stuff like that than he is setting his feet and throwing generally.
Really a heads-up play there by Nolan Gorman.
Always a place to be on the field.
That's right. A-Ray Adrianza. And a ground ball, could be two. A flip to DeYoung, double play for 6-3. And we head to the third. Dickerson, Romine, and Carlson coming up. Join Yadier Molina and many of your favorite players. Flavors of Puerto Rico charity dinner Monday, August 15th at the Chase. Find out more. Buy tickets, YadierMolina4.com. Corey Dickerson. Dickerson had to come off the bench cold in the game last night when O'Neill was injured with the leg cramps. Picked up a sac fly and an RBI.
Dickerson to me has looked like a different guy since coming back off of the IL.
The at-bats have been much better. Romine on deck, and then Dylan Carlson. We're in the third inning. Josiah Gray has struck out 4. Cardinals have 1 hit. That was an infield hit off the bat of Nolan Gorman.
The Cardinals having a tough time picking up that slider of Gray. All of his punch outs have been on that pitch.
And the 1-1. Dickerson, it's a high fly ball into right, racing in Soto, drops in, it's fair, and Dickerson was hustling out of the box and easily trotting into second base, standing up with a double.
You can tell right off the bat that Soto did not get a good read on this baseball. Lazy fly ball, but he ends up breaking back a little bit, just not able to get to this thing right on the line. That hung up in there, the air long enough to catch.
It should have been.
Yeah, trade him.
But you're tough.
I know.
And a pitch taken outside by Austin Romine. Well, the thing is with Soto, you'd get him for the stretch run. For fans that maybe don't know, but you'd get him under your control remainder of this season and then 2 more years.
Yeah, he is one of those lucky individuals with 4 years of arbitration. Certainly you're looking at, if you acquire him, you'd love to at least be able to talk about a longer term deal.
And a grounder that's hit to Garcia. High throw and out. Good play by Bell. Come back down on the bag. And the first out here in the third. Cardinals taking a look at it, but will not challenge. Dylan Carlson, top of the lineup, fly to left first time up. Reds also dealt Tyler Naquin to the Mets. That was late on Thursday night. And the expectation is that they're going to trade Tyler Mahle as well. And if you trust the reports, and there's so many out there now, but they're saying that the Reds also want a team to take on the Moustakas contract with that. So if you want Mahle, you got to get the contract with it, and that's $25 million left on his deal.
I just don't think that's the best idea. If you're looking to actually build your team, then you take the best return for the players that you get. Don't try to lump bad contracts in. That's actually something that Mike Rizzo here of the Nationals talked about with Patrick Corbin's contract. It's not a great contract right now. You see, he has not been effective, but why lump that into a Soto deal and lessen your prospect return?
That's right. And he said that publicly. He was on a radio show and said, we will not do that. Well, Carlson has an extra base hit 7 of his last 9 games. It's his 33rd start in center field. Cardinals are hopeful Bader will return at some point. And St. Louis has struggled in this spot. 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position in the series. And the 1-1 pitch to Dylan Carlson. Gets away and advancing. Dickerson to third. Let's see if the Nationals want to bring the infield in.
Spiked the curveball here. Wasn't able to get in front of that. Barrera with the 1 knee down. Pops up. Dickerson, as soon as he saw it in the dirt, he was on the move.
Infield in. An account of 2 balls and 1 strike on Carlson. The pitch put in play slowly. Right side. Dickerson will score. Gray makes the play, and he stepped on the foot of Hernandez. Ouch. And it's 1-0.
Well, everybody in field looks to be A-OK after that play, but this is one right here by Dylan Carlson. Was not hit hard. Dickerson running on contact as soon as it's gone. And either way, that ball's not hit hard enough to make a play. The way that Dickerson runs and the jump that he ended up getting.
There's Brendan Donovan, fly to left first time up, 0 for 1. 1-0 Cardinals. And a pitch off the plate, ball 1. Nice moment before the game today as Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina honored before this crowd with pictures from the All-Star game that was played here a few years ago, and Yadi was a part of that. Albert Pujols with career home runs number 400 and 500 at this ballpark. And the 1-1. Brendan Donovan, the designated hitter today. And it was, that's Mike Rizzo there, but Albert was out there with Nelson Cruz, Dave Martinez, and accepting on Yadi's behalf, it was Adam Wainwright. Good stuff.
It really is cool just seeing all of these different teams honor Albert, Yadi, and a lot of history there, obviously, and a lot of fan bases that appreciate what has happened over the years. Some of the best baseball, obviously, with Albert, first ballot, no question, heading to Cooperstown. Yadi's going to be in Cooperstown as well.
Lined up the middle and a base hit. Almost got Gray, and Garcia almost got the baseball. And Donovan is 1 for 2.
Well, nice job right here by Donovan. A pitch that's up, shoots it right back up the middle, and you're right, almost does get a piece of Gray, and really a ball that it looked like Garcia was going to be there, just didn't get the hot ball, stayed down on him.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt. Struck out first time up. Donovan, a short lead at first to check on him.
I don't know about you. I think the change is starting to come for me of expecting that ball to be caught every time now.
Yeah. Somebody is playing up the middle.
Yep.
And in this case, Hernandez, second baseman, is near the bag. And a strike to Goldie. So 2 outs, a runner at first, and a count of no balls and 1 strike. Paul has reached base safely in 10 straight. 5 home runs in those 10 games. And the 0-1. Nothing in 2.
You see that good
hardy swings?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I was going to say, you see that good fastball by Gray. It's kind of surprising that he doesn't use it as much. We've seen a ton of slider, a ton of curveball from him. A guy that doesn't like a ton of contact.
Barrera, the catcher, is 0 for 9 in trying to get base stealers this year. 1 for 29 in his career. Cardinals had 3 stolen bases the other night, game 1 of this series. And the 1-2 pitch to Goldie. But they've had some good players here in Washington that have seen great times, big numbers, big seasons. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Max Scherzer, certainly Anthony Rendon. And it looks like they're going to lose Juan Soto. The 2-2. Just missed.
We think about the pressure that's involved in a deal like that, because a few of those players you're talking about, you know, Bryce Harper left as a free agent, as did Anthony Rendon, both free agents. So you didn't get anything for those players. But a couple more years here of Soto. Like, you have to get the right prospects in return if you're their GM, Mike Rizzo.
3-2 pitch, and that'll be a strikeout of Goldie. Strikeout number 5 for Gray. Cardinals pick up the first run, and it's 1-0. 8 or more gallons of gas at a participating station using the My Phillips 66 app. 50% off Cardinal tickets. And for more info, visit phillips66gas.com/Cardinals. So the Cardinals return to Busch Stadium on Tuesday night. Adam Wainwright will get that start, and I would anticipate number 4 is back as well.
It's been too long.
Yep. The return of Yadier Molina. Here's Barrera, who is 0 for his last 15 with 5 strikeouts. I was trying to think of the last really big deal in what we're anticipating with Soto. And the one I was thinking about was Miguel Cabrera.
Well, that's the best comp when you're looking at Soto, the controllable years and the age.
Exactly. All-star games before the age of 25, 26. Now, in that deal, Dontrell Willis was included in that deal, but
who was a stud at the time.
And Miami got 6 players in return. Andrew Miller was part of that deal.
Yes, he was. Was Cameron Maybin in that deal also?
He was. Yep. Tied him up, and he did go. And that'll be a strikeout. It's also a pretty famous date in Cardinals history. The Cardinals pulled the trigger on getting Mark McGwire. And Big Mac, it's the 25th anniversary of acquiring Big Mac. He had 220 home runs in 545 games with the Cardinals. By comparison, Goldie has played in 472 games and has hit 95.
Those don't seem like real numbers. What did it feel like at the time watching that happen?
Energized the franchise.
Yeah,
really did. It was the final 2 months of 1997, and 96 was the farewell to Ozzie. So you had the face of the franchise, and the team wasn't very good.
Yeah.
In '97. And I've said this many times, but I believe it's a trade that is even felt today, because you change the fortunes of the franchise by bringing him in, and the place was packed to see him play. So to the DeWitt's credit and ownership credit, they took the money from people coming through the turnstiles and invested it then in salary and payroll and brought in really good players. And then we're able to keep them. There's a strikeout, and that's number 3.
I think that right there is the best breaking ball we've seen from Palante.
While we have a moment, quick word from Siteman Cancer Center.
The Brain Tumor Center at Siteman, committed to research, invested in technology, powered by Washington University physicians.
Here's Cesar Hernandez, and a strike on the outside corner. Everywhere we went with Big Mac in that summer of '98 and again in 1990 at 65. I mean, it was electric.
Yeah.
So he really did change it.
I know you've talked about going on different road trips, and you'd have to sneak him in the service elevator through kitchens. I mean, the guy was a rock star.
No doubt. 0-2 is put in play, backhanded by Arenado, and the stretch by Goldie and the outs. The 1-2-3 inning for Palante. Arenado, Gorman, Nootbaar coming up. Youth baseball and softball coaches help positively shape the lives of their players through sportsmanship, leadership, character building. We want to know about it. Coaches Who Care contest presented by Nike. Cardinals.com/coaches who care. There's Nolan Arenado, struck out back in the second, 0 for 1. And the first pitch is pulled foul. We're at Nationals Park, which is located in southeast Washington, south of the Capitol, not too far away, but right by the Navy Yard, ballpark that opened in 2008. And the 0-1. Played at Griffith Stadium, RFK. Did you pitch at RFK?
I did pitch at RFK. I think that every stadium should be built like RFK because it was deep. I mean, you'd give up a ball that was 420 and it would stay in the ballpark.
Yep.
Love that place.
Inside corner, 2 strikes on Nolan Arenado.
I'd say they've got themselves a pretty nice home here, though.
The 1-2. You have to have baseball in Washington, don't you?
Of course.
America's pastime.
It does make sense.
They have had a long history of baseball in our nation's capital. Then they had teams that were here briefly and moved on. The 2-2. 1960, Washington moved to Minnesota. They became the Twins. 61, they get awarded an expansion franchise, and then in 71, just 10 years later, that was the Senators. They moved to Texas and become the Rangers. And then 2005, baseball comes back to Washington. 3-2 pitch, and Arenado gets underneath it, pops it up. Garcia under it to make the catch. While we have a moment, quick word from Tickets for Less.
Tickets for Less, for a better ticketing experience. Best seats, best prices, and no surprises at checkout.
Nolan Gorman, an infield hit, first time up. Shift on the right side. And the first pitch taken low. You know, it was Catterday night at the ballpark last night.
What's that?
Not Jimmy the Cat, Catterday night at the ballpark.
What does Catterday night entail?
Well, it wasn't like pooches in the park, you weren't bringing your cat. But if you came to the ballpark, you got a jersey with the number 9 on the back. 9 lives.
Really?
Yeah. I'm being serious.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
The 2-0. Now, I think it also was their pooches in the park night, too.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
I thought so, too. But that's how they rolled it out. Turn them loose here on 3-0. And instead, it's ball 4. And that'll be the first walk issued by Gray. They had the City Connect uniforms last night with an ode to the cherry blossom. Famous here in Washington. And the Cardinals were in their victory blues. I'll tell you what, this has been a tough trip, I would imagine, on Mark Walsh, who is the longtime manager, equipment manager of the Cardinals, because you got 3 different uniforms and you better bring a bunch of others just in case you add a player or 2.
You never know. You
That's
never
right.
know. Yeah, you're packing a little bit heavier on a trip like this, and the hope is that you get to use some of that. That means you acquired a player and you were able to bring him on board. I'm sure things are going to get even crazier as they get home, but Walshy works like crazy. The entire staff does. Guys don't get enough credit for what they do.
Here's the 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. Mark has been with the Cardinals, and you think about all the different people that have been affiliated player-wise with the team, but you also have those behind the scenes that work so hard to make sure that this is a class organization, and it is, and he's a big reason why.
Yeah,
players feel that.
For sure.
Buddy Bates did it for many, many years. Rip Rowan, now Walshy. 2-0 pitch, and it's 3-0.
Rip Rowan still works the visiting side. Always did such a fantastic job. Still does.
There was a couple players recently no longer with St. Louis, but were telling me, I said, man, I didn't realize how I was treated. I just thought that's the way it's supposed to be done until I went to other places.
Well, it's something to remember as a player, too, with a lot of these guys. They're going to be here longer than you are.
Yes, sir.
And they've been here before you were. You might want to treat them with respect.
So back-to-back walks. They started the runner. That was Nolan Gorman. And now the pitching coach, Jim Hickey, out. Jim Hickey was in Houston for a number of years in the battles between St. Louis and Houston.
So Josiah Gray in this ball game, he scattered 3 hits. Cardinals have scored a run. Really only one of those hits hit hard, though. It was Donovan's single up the middle. Coming into this game, we mentioned 23 home runs he's given up. That's tops in the National League. He's got an ERA approaching 6.5 at home. At some point, there is going to be a mistake that's made. The hope is it's after a couple of big free passes.
The batter will be Paul DeYoung. Edmundo Sosa was traded yesterday to make room for DeYoung. I think it's kind of surprising for some, but Sosa had been in the Cardinals organization for 10 years. 10 years he had been in pro ball, which started in the Dominican Summer League as a teenager. And the Phillies and the Cardinals are going back and forth for that final spot of the wild card. Giants also in the mix. Marlins getting close for them to say, well, are we in it? Are we out? We'll see. 2 runners on, and the pitch taken outside by DeYoung.
I hope that Sosa has success over there. Be used as a utility piece, little depth. Always liked the attitude that he played with, the energy that he played with. When you look at DeYoung, though, and you look at the upside that's there, I think it's very clear that there's far more offensive upside for Paul DeYoung.
Well, 15 pitches in the inning, only 3 have been strikes. And the 1-0 to the Cardinals shortstop with 2 runners on. Tied him up, and it's fouled back. Here's the thing, though, Brad, with all these teams we're talking about, think about where the Nationals were in 2019. They were 57-51 entering August. They were 6.5 games out. The Braves last year through the games of July 31st were 52 and 53. They were under 500, and they win the World Series.
You never know.
That's right.
Just stay in the hunt.
2 strikes on DeYoung.
Well, Gray's got a couple of options here with DeYoung. He ended up showing him the slider down and away in his first at bat, can also elevate with the fastball.
And the 1-2 pitch with 2 runners on. The next 2, DeYoung. Hit softly off the mound. And did they get him? They did. The outs. Runners advance to second and third. We hope to visit with John Mozeliak in the 5th inning of our broadcast. Cardinals will take a look at it, and he is out. And you saw that Mike Rizzo is here, the GM of the Nationals, so I'm sure those two are having a few chats.
Oh, sure, right?
Yep.
You're having conversations. That's the interesting part about this is there are so many irons in the fire when it comes to the trade deadline. There are so many different aspects of the team, so many different levels of trades that you're looking at and people you're talking to. It's hard to keep it all straight. That's why they get the whole brain trust here. I don't think Josiah Gray is meaning to make some of these pitches that he's making. He's making that backup slider look good, though. He tied up DeYoung with that one.
And now it is Dickerson. Had a bloop double hit down the right field line. Bounced fair and then bounced over Soto, and he wound up at second base. And has scored the only run of our ball game. Came in on a ground out by Dylan Carlson. And the 1-0 pitch to Corey Dickerson is taken high, and it's 2-0. Definitely is cooled off here at the ballpark, and there's rain in the area, and the wind is also picked up.
Dan, you're our local weatherman, or at least here in the booth between you and I. You were showing me some green on the radar. Supposed to be hitting around 3:30.
I didn't know that.
Well, I made that part up. It just sounded better. Just added context to it.
Boy, you're the best.
That barometer is rising. Or
swing and a miss. Or he can just be this high up and look at the clouds and say, yeah, it looks like it's going to rain.
We'll tell the people when it starts raining. We'll be the first to know. There's a very high up vantage point here at Nationals Park.
They wanted to make sure and give us our best view for the fans.
Just had a couple of nosebleeds on my scorecard. That'll be fine.
In the air out to deep right. And this baby is gone. It's a home run. 3-run homer, Dickerson. He has scored a pair today. And now a 3-run blast. And it's 4-0 St. Louis.
Dan, we just talked about it. We talked about the home runs. Gray has had the issue with the long ball. That's home run number 24 given up by Josiah Gray, and it comes with a couple of free passes in the inning. Dickerson takes advantage of a breaking ball down and in and drops the head of the bat on it and extends this Cardinal lead. Trying to go down and away with the pitch. That's the danger zone against the lefty. Nice swing by Dickerson and taking advantage again of an opportunity.
The swing and a miss by Romine, and it's 4-0 Cardinals. So Dickerson with home run number 4, and he's driven in 19 on the year. Pitch inside to Romine, 1 ball and 1 strike. And the next, a grounder that's fair inside the third base line. And it does not hit off the sidewall, goes down into the corner. Romine to second, and he'll stop there. Going back to your point earlier, Brad, he stays away from his fastball, and he's got a good one.
He does. He does. I don't think that he utilizes that pitch enough, and I think that's part of the growing up process as a pitcher, is really realizing that you can trust your other stuff. And finally, one of these backup breaking balls gets hit right down the line. That slider, he's not trying to go in with that pitch. He's trying to go down the way, get the rollover ground ball, but this one ends up staying fair. Romine was thinking 3.
I wanted to see it.
I did too, kind of. I think he would have made it.
I do too. First pitch to Dylan Carlson, taken for a ball. So with 2 outs, the 3-run homer hit by Corey Dickerson. Dylan Carlson drove in the first run on a ground out that scored Dickerson back in the 3rd. Cardinals about hit the Nats 5-2. And a strike. We were talking with Ali in his office today, and he was frustrated about the game. That's putting it mildly, about the game last night.
Well, he said essentially that's one you can't lose.
And a strike on Carlson, and it's 1-2.
Well, it was interesting too, as he was running down the pitching and how it all went down. And he said, look, that's kind of how we planned it out. If it got to that matchup in the 5th inning, we knew we liked Packy there. And it just kind of came down to execution of the bullpen, and didn't execute. This is a bullpen that's been very good for you. Didn't get the job done yesterday.
And it's rested too.
Yeah. Well, that's part of that process too, right? You're thinking about, okay, do you pull Dakota out of this game early? You look at the matchups against Soto. You look at the matchups against Lefty. He didn't have good numbers against Bell, who was hitting after Soto, so that factored into it for sure. But to your point, you had bookended off days in Toronto, or outside of the Toronto series. Have Monday off. Your bullpen is as rested as they're going to be all year. You might as well use them.
Pitch number 79 from Gray, and a 2-2 to Dylan Carlson. And instead he steps off. By the way, that home run hit by Dickerson, that ball was pummeled. It's as far as he's hit a ball this year. Pitch number 30 of the inning coming up. And Dylan Carlson sends a fly ball into deep right, backing up Soto. He's under it, and he'll make the catch. So the home run hit by Corey Dickerson. He's got a double, home run. He's driven in 3. He scored 2. And the Cardinals have a 4-0 lead. Coverage cam. And normally that coverage cam is not going to take you inside a presidential suite of the ballpark, but that's what we do here, because that's Mike Rizzo, and he holds all the cards, so to speak, with Juan Soto.
He certainly does. A busy time of the year, and arguably one of the biggest decisions he'll have to make for this franchise's future is what he does with this young star here, 23 years old, 2 more years of control left after this year, and basically your suitors are all of Major League Baseball. I mean, he makes any team better.
He walked his first time up and hits it out of play down the left field line. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I don't care.
We've talked about how he's walking a ton. Well, look who's hitting around him. And it's no disrespect to Josh Bell, who's had a really good year. Nelson Cruz has had a down year, but you can pitch around him. And so that's what teams will do. And he'll take his walks.
But that's the impressive part, isn't it? That he actually will take them. I mean, you look at what he can do, the power profile that is there. I mean, this guy's a really good hitter. You'd think that he'd get anxious, he'd expand his strike zone, but he's got the discipline to not do that. You think about putting him in a lineup that actually has protection, where you have to pitch around him, or can't pitch around him. Be something special.
The 2-1, and it's tapped foul, and it's 2-2. Well, if you're Mike Rizzo too, it's got to be disheartening, because you look at this young man and already the career he's put together and what lies ahead. And they made a run. They tried to get him to sign. He didn't do it. So it's time to move on.
Well, you do have to pivot, too. I mean, that ends up being the thing when you offer up a deal, and whether you believe the AAV is where it should be on a 15-year deal, $440 million. If the guy says no to that, you have to explore all your other options.
And Soto pops it up into shallow left. Dickerson there to make the catch and the first out. Soto 0 for 1 today.
I think we're seeing Palante settle in a little bit in this ball game. He's now retired 7 straight.
And it brings in Josh Bell. For 4-0 Cardinals. A 3-run homer hit by Dickerson top half of this inning. And the first pitch to Bell. Strike one.
A 3-run home run, too. Obviously, a nice cushion for Palante. You know, Andre Palante going out there doing a good job, but you'd like to be able to give him some room to work with, continue to pitch aggressively.
A ball and a strike. We're talking about all the players that the Nationals have seen come and go. How about the Pirates? You don't think Josh Bell could be helping the Pirates right about now?
I don't think he could save the Pirates right now.
Well, I didn't say save because they've got a lot of issues.
But you add a bunch of the pieces that have been gone the last couple of years, and that's the maddening part as a fan base. You end up getting these good players, and all you want to do is have somebody that you can cling to and know is going to be a face of your franchise.
Now, I would say with their extension to keep Brian Hayes, that would do it. What do they do with Reynolds?
He's a good player. Look, Reynolds' name is getting floated all over the place. And he'd be able to bring a good return.
But David Bednar, would you trade him?
I wouldn't if I were them. You know, they traded off Clay Holmes last year, and all he did was turn into one of the best relievers in the game.
So 2 outs, and the batter is Nelson Cruz. 42-year-old, 7-time All-Star. 4-time Silver Slugger winner. And the owner of 451 career homers.
Yeah, the hard part is just going back thinking about the Pirates, Dan, is how do you teach these guys how to win too? You bring up these young players, but they have to have somebody to learn from.
Right.
Like there has to be able to be a building culture. That's something that the Cardinals have had for quite some time.
Can't wait for the next report from the Cat.
You think it's going to be about yesterday, Catterday?
Probably. Should be. As Cruz hits the deck. And it's 2-2. You know, Brad, there's also talk of Joe Musgrove getting a long-term extension in San Diego. That's another Pirate. Jacob Stallings is your everyday catcher down in Miami. Garrett Cole, Jamison Tyone. I mean, there's a lot of good players. And a 2-2 pitch to Cruz. A swing and a miss, and he struck him out. Palante is settled in. And that is 4 strikeouts. Cardinals lead at 4-0. Donate Life Day presented by Mid-America Transplant is coming up Sunday, August 14th. And you can get your tickets at cardinals.com/theme. Kind enough to join us on what has been, I'm sure, a very busy week, month. It always is John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations for the Cardinals, as Brendan Donovan looks at the first pitch. We're underway here in the 5th, and thanks, Mo, for coming on.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me. You guys are way up here.
Yeah, it's quite the view, isn't it?
It really is.
Did you talk to Mike Rizzo about maybe changing our accommodations?
You know, that didn't come up.
I didn't think so.
You know, had you mentioned it earlier, I could have.
Well, how are things going right now? How busy is it for you?
You know, I think like any trading deadline, obviously we are looking to try to add something to our club or some things, plural. So the process is always sort of like, you know, the pace of it isn't necessarily what we want it to be or how maybe our fan base would. But, you know, look, we're engaged with a lot of things. And, you know, I know sometimes these talking points get old and people get a little irritated with them, but, you know, we're going to keep trying.
A high fly ball into right, backing up Soto, and he'll make the catch. Everybody's talking about Soto. Everybody's talking about maybe the adding of pitching. Let's just ask you a general question. Where would you like to improve the club if you can?
You know, like when you ask that type of question, the simple answer is like we just want to find ways to get better. And so, you know, like obviously we have some resources that we can use to acquire talent, and, you know, they can't go everywhere. They can't all be used. You know, we still want to keep an eye on the future, and you know, we're fortunate that we have a lot of talent in our minor league system right now, and that's bodes really well for our future. So it's really just trying to, you know, sort of understand what the asks might be or the requirements that are required to get a player, and, you know, that's what we're just going to sift through.
Goldie with a high fly ball, backing up Soto again near the track, and he'll make the catch.
Mo, you've been through this plenty of times. The trade deadline, as the deadline approaches, how much does the market and the landscape change?
Quite a bit. I think, as you can imagine, you know, right now I think teams are trying to determine, like, you know, can they maximize their return, and at what point in a deal are you there? And you know, obviously Friday night we saw a very popular or a high demand pitcher get moved. And I think, like, you know, obviously those two teams were at a point where they weren't going to offer any more, and the other team didn't think they were going to get any more, so they decided to move forward with the deal. Whereas I think you're still seeing the fluidity of the market because, you know, you haven't seen a lot of things happen in the last 24 hours. So, you know, I think teams are still out shopping. They're looking for the best ROI possible. And, you know, I think from our standpoint, we're just trying to make sure that we're still engaged.
Arenado hit by the pitch. Remember, Nelson Cruz hit the deck earlier, and now Arenado is hit by that pitch. And the first movement by Nolan was to look over in the dugout there of the Nationals, and he seems to be all right. You hold your breath when you see these things, Mo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, regardless of when someone gets hit by a pitch or not, just the injuries in general that you have to manage through on a 162 game season, it's daunting, it's challenging, and I think that's part of, like, how teams, you know, end up being defined season by season. It's how fortunate or how lucky you can be by avoiding major injuries. And unfortunately for us this year, you know, we've lost Jack Flaherty for a significant amount of time. We've lost Steven Matz for you know, basically the season, and so when you have that happen, it's always tough to just sort of like reboot.
Harrison Bader being another one. That's a big one.
All right. Well, you think about our outfield, you know, 2/3 of it have really not played together all year. So it's certainly frustrating.
So it's game number 102 today. How do you like your team? How would you assess the season?
You know, I think we're getting back on track. I mean, it's getting closer, but, you know, we're probably still not where we thought we'd be. You know, I think getting Paulie back should inject some energy to the club. I think, you know, he takes a professional at bat. You know, obviously last night had 2 good swings, which was important. So I think really it's about just getting on that roll, getting our confidence back. And I think, you know, July's been a tough month for us.
When you look at DeYoung being back and O'Neill being back in the fold, and obviously left the game yesterday but expected to be back in here soon, do those guys, I mean, you can't fix everything at a trade deadline, right? So, I mean, those guys, you were counting on them coming in. I'd assume that you've got to be counting on those guys down the stretch.
We are. I mean, like, and I know sometimes that annoys people to hear that because they would rather us just go find new bodies, find new faces, and just get it done. It's a little bit of like what we just saw in the last inning, though, with having somebody like Dickerson come up with a big hit. I mean, like, that's what we need to happen. We need other people other than Arenado and Goldschmidt to come up with those big hits. And if we do that, you know, we can get on that run and win more baseball games. But it is really a combination of everything, right? Like you need starting pitchers to go deeper. You need your bullpen to be consistent and reliable. You need more than just 2 hitters in your lineup hitting. And so you're really like a function of these multiple variables that if any one time 2 are not clicking, you tend to lose.
3-1 the count here on Nolan Gorman with Arenado, your runner at first base. most simple question: how does it work? Do you text opposing GM, president of baseball operations, and say, we're interested in player X, this is what we're willing to offer, and then it starts that way? How does it work?
I typically start with a phone call and try to articulate exactly what we're trying to do and why, and see if we can't find that fit. And then there are times though where it does become a text back and forth because there are moving parts. We're not at the deadline yet. We still have all of Monday and part of Tuesday. So it hasn't been like that frantic experience yet, but Tuesday it could be. I think back to last year, really in the last 50 minutes of the deadline, we made 2 trades.
Right. Do you sleep the next couple of days?
I think I should because it's healthier, but yeah.
You look a little beat up. You look a little tired here, Mo.
Yeah, the last couple of nights have been
a little long.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember, we were in San Diego when you made the deal with John Lackey, and that was one where you said, yeah, basically, I haven't slept all night.
Yeah, that was an all-nighter because we were doing that deal with Boston, and obviously with the time change. And so, for us, it was 2 in the morning. For them, it was 5 or 6 in the morning, and just trying to get a hold of the player. As you may remember, that got a little awkward as far as when it got out before our players were told. So yeah, that was disappointing from that end, but ended up being a good deal.
Real good deal. Nolan Gorman, 3-2 the count with the Cardinals leading 4-0. John Mozeliak is our guest. Arenado off with the pitch, and it's taken inside. He did go as they appeal down at third. Get another half inning with us.
Give me one more.
All right. John Mozeliak, kind enough to stick with us. The Cardinals lead it 4-0. Capital, John Mozeliak kind enough to be with us in the bottom of 5 with the Cardinals leading 4-0. And so, Mo, is it the next 48 hours, do you see the market, not just with the Cardinals, but do you see a busy 48 hours across Major League Baseball?
Based on sort of what I'm hearing and sort of the discussions we're having, I would imagine it's going to be a pretty exciting 36 hours for the game of baseball as far as getting the game in the headlines and seeing player movement. I think that's what the fans like to see, and hopefully the Cardinals are a part of that in some way.
Absolutely.
So, Mo, when you go through this, how much does one deal affect the next deal? You mentioned the Castillo deal. Seattle gave up a ton to get him. Does that affect the next deal that goes down?
Well, what it does is it eliminates one buyer, right? But it also eliminates one seller. So, just simple economics, the math changes a little bit. And so, in that particular case, I think a lot of people looked at that as oh, okay, well now, it's sort of defined what an elite starting pitcher on the market might go for. But again, it's what we were sort of talking about off air about the eyes of the beholder. Mm-hmm. So, it's I would imagine it was probably a pretty competitive market for Castillo, and clearly the Reds felt like they got a good return on that based on the fact that they said yes to the deal. So, teams are, they're all sort of just positioning or trying to find their way into a way to get to the finish line.
How much do you think it changes things? Seattle's a team that hasn't been in the postseason since 2001. The idea of being aggressive in a situation like that.
So I think what I'm about to say, I got to be careful because I don't want our fan base to feel oh, because we have had success, sure, we're not willing to go do something, and that's not the point. But I would imagine if you hadn't been in the playoffs for 20 years, you may be more motivated to do it than a team that has experienced postseason recently. But again, I think it's everybody sort of in a different spot, and the Cardinals don't look at sort of windows to win. Like a lot of teams will have that with the windows open, we got to go through it, and at all costs. We've looked for a much more perpetual model, one that's more consistent, where year in and year out we always have a chance. And again, some people are listening to me right now are that's an awful idea, hey, change your strategy, do it differently. But there's a lot of people that sort of love the consistency, love the fact that we put a winning product out there day in and day out. So it's I think the easiest way to think about this is there's imagine you have about 33% of the fan base, no matter what we do, it's probably going to be wrong. There's another 33 that whatever side of that we're on, they're going to be upset. And then there's sort of that group in the middle, and it's sort of like, trying to keep everybody happy is really difficult this time of year.
Do you shy away from trading within the division typically?
Historically, we have not had a lot of activity within our division. And so it's not that we shy away from it. It just doesn't seem like, either one of us all want to look at each other for the years out. So in our case, we're trying to acquire for the now. Historically, like in my career, I don't recall ever being a seller. And so, I think like having to give up like younger players that we might have to look at for 5 or 6 years. Yeah, that's not the best picture I can imagine.
No.
But like, it's not to say we don't like make phone calls or at least connect early on in this process. But obviously, history speaks for itself, and we haven't done many deals.
This may be an odd question, and you don't like to talk in absolutes because you've always said that. But are there guys that you will say cross Major League Baseball, and I'm talking about a young man in your farm system that you would say over the years, that's untouchable? Nope, we will not. We will just understand we are not trading. We'll look at other ways to get it done, but that young man is not going anywhere.
Given the current strength of our major league team, you're not really in a position where we feel like we have to use that phrase. And plus, I think back to my younger days in this job, and at times we would sometimes say that, and the more I thought about the phrase itself, it was like, that doesn't make sense, because surely there's probably something you could get in return that would make sense to move someone. And so, like, trying to like position players that way is not how we've approached this trading deadline, or really most recent ones. So I would say the answer is no. We don't just lay out this is an absolute non-starter.
The 2-2 lifted into right, and the catch is made off the bat of Luis Garcia. And there's 2 outs here in the 5th. Palante really pitching well. You get Yachty back on Tuesday. We can probably anticipate that. Right
now, you can pencil that in. Unfortunately, I think Memphis got rained out today, so he's not going to play there today. He was hit by a pitch the other night, so the rehab is not gone as maybe we had planned. But as Brad can attest, major leaguers they pick and choose their rehab assignments, and so
I don't think he ever did.
No,
to be honest with you, Mo, he was looking for work a lot.
I was just picking and choosing my options.
Oh, he always plays that. He was a big leaguer. Don't let him kid you, Danny.
I know. I have to remind him of that all the time.
No, you don't. He knows.
Yeah, no, for sure I do.
I work with Flo. It's these guys remind us.
Yeah, that's true. Back to Palante and another 1-2-3. Hey, Mo, I know you're busy. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, happy to join you guys, and let's have a good one. Stay dry.
You got it. John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations. We head to the 6th. Budweiser, what's on tap in the Cubs in St. Louis beginning on Tuesday night. In Chicago, 6-2 since the All-Star break, and then we'll see Aaron Judge, Matt Carpenter, and the Yankees. The Budweiser, what's on tap. And again, good seats are available, but I said at least 40,000. I've been told now that every game will have a minimum of 43,000.
You better hurry. You want to go to those. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a really fun homestand. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Yankees in town. I'm looking forward to see what the Cardinals look like on Tuesday, come the trade deadline.
There's Jordan Weems. There's Chevy Cole to the pen. And Lars Nootbaar digs in. And Nootbaar, a liner out to left, and that's caught. One pitch and one away. Nice visit with John Mozeliak. We appreciate him stopping by for sure. Stats with Lowe's, and since the break, this has been statistically one of the best bullpens in the game, and that's Nationals.
It is interesting, too. We talked about this a bit on Friday. You've got a bullpen here for the Nationals that does not have a lefty in it. Very rarely do you see a pen like that, and especially a pen have success, but they've got some guys, and Jordan Weems is one of them, actually, that has got really good splits against lefties. Lefties only hitting .071 against him coming into this ball game.
So 1 ball and 1 strike on Paul DeYoung. And the next swing and a miss. DeYoung today. was struck out and grounded out. I'm sure there's a fan or two out there saying, guys, why didn't you say to Mo, are you going to trade for Juan Soto? Are you looking at Oakland? Well,
can't answer that.
He can't.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally cannot say that. It's talk about his players, but not anybody else. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the next to the Cardinals shortstop is taken for a ball outside. And Dickerson has had a big day with a double and a home run. He scored a pair and driven in 3. 3-2 pitch, and DeYoung pops it foul. What do you think of Josiah Gray here today? Our first look at young man we've heard a lot about.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good. I think we were hitting on it a little bit earlier. Once he really starts trusting his fastball more, I think it's going to make his off speed even more effective. But showed good movement on his breaking ball. Slider was tight, backed up at times, but a good pitch for him.
Out of play again off the bat of Paul DeYoung. The Cardinals with the home run hit by Dickerson. They have now hit 22 in their last 15 games. It is a game of power. It is a game of home runs.
Yeah, well, 22 in the last 15 games. I believe that the Nationals have 78 on the year as a club.
And the 3-2 lifted in the air out to center. It's at the wall. God, he's done it again. Paul DeYoung with the home run. DeYoung, a home run last night. DeYoung, a shot to center today. The best part about the home run yesterday, Brad, was his teammates' reaction. They were fired up for him.
Yeah, of course they're pumped up for him. They know what he's been through. Dan, that is a ball right there that Paul DeYoung at the beginning of the season, he swings right through. He has no chance of catching up to a fastball at 96 miles an hour early in the season. But he stays on top of that thing, gets the barrel to it. And the hope was Paul comes back, inserts himself in the lineup, and does so with authority, and that's exactly what he's doing.
He's also homered in 5 straight, 3 in Memphis and now 2 back in the big leagues. So the second home run hit by the Cardinals today. It's got to be such a relief for him to come back and immediately starting to produce.
Because you think about it, right? You go back, you clear your mind, you go and just focus on yourself, work on your swing. But as soon as you come back, there's got to be that pressure to do something with it. I'm glad that he didn't put that pressure on himself and just went out there and put some free swings on it.
421 feet, 106 off the bat. So his 3rd home run and 2 in the past 2 days as Dickerson fouls it back. StatCast powered by Google Cloud, and the home run hit by Dickerson in the 4th with 2 outs. Gray knew it, and Dickerson did as well.
Well, you just never know how it's going to work on a given day, right? Dickerson comes into the lineup yesterday because Tyler O'Neill dealing with the cramping in the legs. They want to give him another day off. Dickerson ends up getting in the lineup, and he's making the most out of it in this ball game.
And the 2-2 lined foul. And the 2-2. Foul back again. Boston has scored 5 in the bottom of the 5th inning. A 5-2 lead over Milwaukee. Phillies, they lead Pittsburgh 5-1 in the 5th inning. And another 2-2 pitch coming up here to Corey Dickerson. And time is called. The 2-2. And Dickerson with another base hit. That'll get down. And Corey Dickerson have a day. 3 hits and a triple away from the cycle. And this ballpark is big enough you can get a triple.
Yes, it is. Got some really interesting dynamics too, right? A ball can kick off anywhere. Just another nice job. Stays back, just able to get the bat to this thing, drop it into the outfield.
So a 2-out hit for Dickerson, and it brings in Austin Romine. Nats with a shift on the left side. And that pitch is popped up. This will be out number 2, and Bell coming in foul territory to make the catch. The batter will be Dylan Carlson. Donate Life Day, again presented by Mid-America Transplant, is Sunday, August 14th. Cardinals.com/theme. Supporting organ and tissue donation. Runner at first. Corey Dickerson, and now Dylan Carlson up for the 4th time. And the 0-1 pitch. 0-2. You guys with high velocity, you're going to see that's how they attack Dylan Carlson.
Yeah, well, and a couple of things. And Weems also has a good split finger. It was the split that stayed up that Dickerson was able to serve into the outfield for a hit, but it's a pitch that Dylan has some troubles with as well.
And the 0-2 popped up on the infield, and the shortstop wants it and has it. That's Garcia. Midway through 6, Paul DeYoung adding to the St. Louis lead. Long home run to center. And welcome back, Paulie D. To make it 5-0 Cardinals. And Andre Palante is dealing here today. Very efficient. The most pitches in any inning was in the 1st and the 5th. He had 15. But 62 pitches, 42 of which have been strikes.
Retired 11 straight. I mean, we're seeing him pitch with confidence, be in the zone.
Little flare out to shallow right and a base hit. Barrera with the base hit into right. And Lane Thomas will be the hitter. BJC Healthcare difference maker. And Brad, it's today's starter, Andre Palante.
Well, you mentioned it. He's being efficient in this game. Seen a couple of really nice curve balls. The big swing and miss there. Getting his ground balls when he needs it. But just attacking in the zone. That's one of the biggest things with Palante. His stuff is good enough. Go ahead and fill up that strike zone.
And a pitch in the dirt to Thomas, who was grounded out and also struck out. And the 1-0 pitch. Taken high. Little fly ball lifted down the right field line and foul. Thomas today is grounded out, also struck out, 0 for 2. Just 3 hits for the Nationals. And the singles back to back in the second inning. Eventually, inning-ending double play, and then moments ago that soft liner off the bat of Barrera.
Well, I like Palante's fastball against Lane Thomas, too, the way that it plays up in the zone. Lane Thomas, a very good low fastball hitter.
The 2-1. Shallow right. And the catch made by Lars Nootbaar for the first out. While we have a moment, quick word from Great Southern Burn.
As the sun comes up on a crisp new morning, you're busy eyeing your next move. When you're ready to take on your next challenge, we'll be right there with you. Great support, Great Southern Bank.
Cesar Hernandez. 0 for 2. And that pitch, a strike. It's the second time that Hernandez has had a borderline pitch not go his way, and he's not happy about it.
No, you know what, though? I think it's a good job by Romine behind the plate of getting that low strike.
And the 0-1 pitch. Double play. Caught by Arenado, and the throw to Goldie, double play. Second double play turned by St. Louis. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals, not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. We were doing a little sightseeing yesterday around town, were you not?
Sure did. Checked out a couple of different museums. I went to the American History Museum, I forget the other one.
Obviously, it made an impression.
Sure did. Learned all kinds of stuff, Dan. Natural History Museum, that was the other one.
Yep.
Dinosaurs and stuff. Big fan.
Are you telling me the truth?
Yeah. Went to both of those.
I don't believe you.
Did. Had fun.
Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri. Brendan Donovan at the plate. 1 for 3 today. Very disappointed. We did not ask Mo if you would still have a seat on the charter if a particular player from Washington would come back home with us today, or if your 4 green seats, you have 8, but you were willing to give away 4 for that player, if that would entice the deal.
Yeah, it felt like it was going to be too leading of a question. We talked about that. You have to talk about the trade deadline if you're the president of baseball operations in broad strokes, right? So just figured that would be too far of a leading question. But certainly those things would sweeten any deal.
And your place across from the ballpark.
I told you I've had too much pool time this year, so
yep, you're willing to do that.
Whoever's family can enjoy that place, whoever it may be, if it helps. If not, I'll keep it.
It's Trace Barrera.
You got me starting to believe I have these things. It's a fun life.
Jet setting across the country.
It's a fun fake life I'm living.
And Barrera says he's okay, so back behind the plate he goes. And a count of 1-2 on Donovan. And he rips it into right. Soto, though, is there to make the catch. first out here in the 7th inning. Friday, August 12th, Cardinals and Brewers. That night, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older take home an embroidered 1982 V-neck jersey courtesy of Phillips 66. And for tickets and information available at cardinals.com/promotions. Strike to Paul Goldschmidt, hitless today. He struck out twice and flied out to right. The 0-1. Now 0-2. And that is fouled back by Goldie. It's kind of at bat sometimes with Goldie. You see he's having a tough day. Tardy on some swings, and then all of a sudden you look up and he hits one 450 feet.
Of course, and that's where he starts really focusing in. He'll drive a ball the other way in the off gap.
Puts it in play here, deep in the hole, long throw, and out. See if the Cardinals want to challenge here.
That's close.
I would challenge at this point in the game. You got a sizable lead, and I thought he was safe. And they have elected not to. So Garcia makes that play. And here is Nolan Arenado. Was called out on strikes, popped out to short, hit by a pitch. Now, do you think when he was hit by a pitch in the 5th, that was by design?
I would hope not. Knowing the fact that the ball to Cruz, as Cruz did hit the deck, you go back and watch that pitch, it was almost over the plate.
Exactly.
Like, it was elevated, but it was certainly, there was no intent of being in. I don't think that Gray would go back in there, but he missed by a ton, if in fact he did miss.
And the 1-1 pitch. Arenado sends a fly ball into right center. Soto calls off Thomas, and he makes the catch. It's a 7th inning stretch, and we're going to stay right here for the singing of God Bless America. Baseball is brought to you by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals. And the first pitch is taken by Soto for a strike. He has walked today and also flied out to left. As Palante is pitching into the 7th. Little roller up the first base line and foul, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, Andre Palante is cruising in this ball game. Again, throwing lots of strikes. He's utilizing all of his pitches. His slider looks really good today. He has gone 7 innings before. He did it at the end of June against the Marlins, when 7 innings only gave up 2. He looks very ready to do that in this ball game.
And Soto pops it up. Right side. Goldie over, leaning in, and out of play. "69 pitches for Palante through 6. 47 strikes. It's been 16 of 20 first pitch strikes.
I mean, that's huge. That's huge for him. And really, it has not been the MO of Andre Palante. Has not been a guy that traditionally has been getting ahead and pounding the zone. I love that pitch right there. Up and in, just change the eye level a little bit.
And the 1-2 pitch. 2-2. And he rips it into right, but there is Nootbaar, and he'll make the catch. And the first out here in this bottom of the 7th, and we check in with Jim.
Jimmy!
Danny Harrison Bader remains on the IL with plantar fasciitis. Harrison has a boot on his troublesome right foot, and they're trying to immobilize the area to promote healing to the area as best they can. He had an injection in the foot a few days ago as well. He told me, in order to be back and be the type of player that I can be, I have to take it slowly, but we're getting there. Plantar fasciitis, Danny, as you know, can be very painful. Harrison wanted fans to know that he's doing everything he can to get back as quickly. In fact, we Zoom with him for pregame from St. Louis because he wants everyone to know he's doing everything he can to get back.
Any timetable whatsoever with this?
He said with this kind of thing, it could heal quickly, but right now it's in the boot. They're going to take a few days, let the injection sort of set in, and then maybe it's better. But again, he said to come back and be the player that he wants to be, he's got to give it time.
Miss seeing him, no doubt.
Brings energy.
Yep. Great defensive player. And a swing and a miss and a strikeout of Bell. How about Andre Palante? This is what the doctor ordered today.
It really is. Really is. And it wasn't a guy, I don't think, coming into this one, you're expecting him to be pitching into the 7th. But look, he's just doing so effectively. And we've talked about it all year. Stuff plays. That's 96 miles an hour. Bell is one of the better hitters in the league, and he blows it right by him.
It's 6 strikeouts, and that is a career high now for Palante. 2 outs and nobody on, and the batter is Nelson Cruz. And a strike. The 0-1. And when he's missing, it's like that. I mean, he's right around the corners, the edge, the plate. Been very good.
He's been competitive.
And the 1-1 upcoming now to Cruz, who has a base hit. He has one of the 3 for Washington. He had back-to-back singles in the 2nd and a single in the 6th. The 1-1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You know, Palante is at 81 pitches. And the way that he's been so efficient, I mean, you start thinking about pitching into the 9th inning here.
I let him go as long as he can go right now, and especially if the score stays where it is. If there ends up being trouble, you know you can lean on your bullpen. Guys out there stirring a little bit, but just to keep themselves moving.
And the 1-2 pitch to Cruz. A little bit low. Cardinals will have Gorman, Nootbaar, and DeYoung. Looking ahead to the 8th inning. And the 2-2 pitch by Andre Palante. Doesn't chase, and it's a full count. He's walked 1. That was Soto back in the 1st.
Here with Cruz, just stay away from him.
3-2 pitch. Got him. A strikeout, number 7 today for Palante. We head to the 8th. Andre Palante is dealing on this Sunday afternoon, and it's 5-0. Andre Palante, 7 innings, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. That's a career high. Corey Dickerson, triple away from the cycle, and Paul DeYoung, another home run. And it adds up to a 5-0 lead as we move to the top of the 8th. The former Cardinal, well-traveled now, Steve Cishek. The Chevy called to the pen. Pitched in 27 games for the Cardinals in 2015. Was traded by the Marlins. Kyle Barraclaw was the pitcher that went back to Miami. Nolan Gorman at the plate. Infield hit. He's got a walk and a run scored and struck out in the 5th.
Always like the idea of having, if you have the ability to carry one, a sidewinder in your bullpen. Obviously, you mentioned they had Cishek, also had Pat Neshek, who would drop down way down there. It looked like he'd hit the knuckles on the ground sometimes.
Cardinals had him. And he parlayed in making the Cardinals team into a big contract with the Phillies.
Yes, he did.
He was very good.
Also an avid autograph collector.
Yes, he is.
Remember playing with him in the Arizona Fall League, and even there he was, hey, you gonna use those cleats? You get those? He'd be acquiring stuff from different players.
Really?
Yeah.
Even then.
He got everything.
John Lackey gave him, was it a Babe Ruth baseball card or a Babe Ruth authenticated autograph? Of
Seriously?
Yeah, to get his number. And that's how they exchanged it.
That's a good get.
I'd say so. The 2-2 inside. And I'm with you. I think can be at least beneficial for teams to have guys that do have the odd or the quirkiness of a reliever and how they deliver. Every guy, it seems like, comes out throwing 95 to 100, so it's a different look.
Yeah, what you do have to have, though, you still have to have pitchability with those different looks, because you do have the 3-batter minimum. Like, you used to be able to bring in a guy like this, punch out a tough righty, and then go right to your pen. You don't have that ability anymore.
Randy Choate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lefty.
The loogie's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
Yep. The lefty 1-out only guy.
Who's the big tall lefty we had? Trevor Miller, maybe. He was
definitely had Trevor Miller back in the day.
Out to center field. Off the bat of Newbar. Thomas with the catch. Gorman back to the bag, and it brings in DeYoung. So Paul DeYoung with a home run today. That was to center. He's also struck out and grounded out. And DeYoung looks at a strike. Cishek tough on right-handed batters, hitting just .202 against him.
You really have to hang in there. Your first thought is opening up your hips. You feel like he's right on top. You got to stay in.
There's the 0-2 pitch to DeYoung. And he pulls it into the St. Louis dugout, and it hits somebody. I think it hit Newbar. Ricocheted off the back wall and then hit Newbar. Thank goodness he's smiling.
Conroy's always quite the help, isn't he?
Oh, Chris Conroy's all over it. The trainers that we've had been here a long time now. And the 1-2. A swing and a miss. Now, was CC your trainer in the minors?
He was. Yeah, Chris Conroy had him in Double-A with the Tennessee Smokies in 2004. And
he is one of the funniest guys I've ever been around.
He's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. He's hilarious. Had him in Memphis in 2000. Well, parts of years. Boy, I spent some time in Memphis. Had him a few times there.
Had him in 04 through 12 parts of all those seasons.
Had the same apartment a couple times. Really got good at those extended stays.
Oh, I bet.
Those corporate apartments are handy. Everything's already there for you.
Sure. All right, we're going to see another cycle here.
You mentioned it. This ballpark is very conducive to a triple.
The 0-1. Nothing at 2. Dickerson with a double down the right field line. Homered the seats in right over the bullpen of the Nats, and then a single into center in the 6th inning. In the hole, nothing in 2. And Dickerson has 35 career triples. He's still alive, just got a piece of it. No activity in the St. Louis bullpen, and here are the hits today for Corey Dickerson. A little bloop down the right field line that Soto got a bad break on. Don't worry about trying to catch that. That was a bomb, and then a base hit to center as well. And the 0-2 pitch to Dickerson. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. We're midway through 8 on this Sunday afternoon. And Palante back to work. It's 5-0. Ball brought to you by BJC Healthcare, the world's best medicine made better. And presented by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Andre Palante pitching into the 8th inning. He has been magnificent here today with just 3 hits allowed.
He's been great, and first pitch strikes. That's the main thing that you look at. Coming into this inning, 83% in this game.
Little tapper hit back to Palante. He'll step and throw. First out.
Another pitch. And again, it's not even just about the fact that he's throwing more strikes in this game. It's quality strikes. He's on the corners. I mean, he has been up, down, both sides of the plate. That pitch right there, perfectly placed right on the outer half. For reference, too, I mentioned the 83% first pitch strike coming into this inning. He's been at around 58% for the year. I mean, that's a drastic jump.
So 1 out, nobody on. And the first pitch, a strike to Luis Garcia. So you talk about teams that could get some of these national players, whether it's Soto or Josh Bell, Nelson Cruz, maybe all 3. And the 0-1 pitch. The flip side of it is the Cardinals have games remaining with Washington in the final couple of months with what could be a depleted lineup. You think about the Reds, Naquin gone, Castillo out of their rotation, maybe Malley. You've got 7 games remaining with Cincinnati. Chicago could be dealing.
Your last 6 games of the year, Pirates.
Yes.
So the Cardinals actually, as of today, they only have 19 games remaining this year against teams that are 500 or above. That's it. I mean, it's the easiest schedule in baseball. Now, what do they do to take advantage of that? And it's not just about getting through that slate. It's about what can you do come October time, too. So you still have to make some tweaks to your roster, you would believe. But the path is there. I think that's a great point that you bring up. You know, look, a lot of these teams are going to look even different than they do now.
Those are dangerous teams sometimes, too.
Man, well, especially late, you get a lot of young players that are really trying to prove something. You got guys that are trying to hang on and prove that they can be back next year. You can't take anything light.
Inside and almost caught Garcia.
We were talking a little bit ago about the Pirates and, you know, what are they going to end up doing with some of their guys. It's big decisions to make, you know, when you're trying to look at the overall landscape of do you keep them? Do you add around a player? Do you not?
Swing and a miss. And it's another strikeout. And that's 8 today for Palante.
Still
Plaza Tire Service pitch tracks.
still got plenty in the tank right now, it appears, for Palante. Look at this breaking ball. So he's shown the ability in this game to throw the breaking ball for a strike and then throw it under the zone when he needs to. Great depth, great spin.
That was your key to the game.
It was, being able to control that pitch, control the off speed.
Adrianza, little ground ball hit towards first, and it's fair and taken there by Goldie. Andre Palante is now through 8 innings, and he's allowed just 3 hits and no runs. It's 5-0 St. Louis. Get 100% MLB verified tickets easier than ever on StubHub. Official partner of the Cardinals. Widest selection of seats and prices. Look up your seat view before you purchase so you know the view of the field before you buy those tickets. StubHub. 5-0 Cardinals. Crowd today of 28,738. 28738. Corey Abbott was added to the Nats bullpen yesterday, and he's into the game.
Yes, it was supposed to be Eric Fetty starting for them. He ended up going on the IL with a shoulder issue. Abbott came aboard. They just bumped everybody up in their rotation.
Well, the last Cardinal rookie with a complete game shutout was Shelby Miller. That was May 10th of 2013. And that was the game in which he allowed a leadoff hit and then retired 27 in a row. Last Cardinal rookie to strike out 8 or more was Dakota, and he did that back in 2019. Romine is safe. Boy, Garcia has had his issues throwing the baseball at times.
Yes, he has. And it's been on Romine a couple of times. Has to range a ways up the middle to make this play, but you know, with the speed of Romine, he's got time to make a throw.
So the top of the lineup for St. Louis and Dylan Carlson. 5-0 our score. And Carlson is swing and a miss. He's flied to left, to right, popped out to short, and a ground out that resulted in a run batted in. The 0-1. Now they get 2. And the 0-2 pitch. Hit out of play as some of the fans, the Cardinal fans behind the St. Louis dugout, are chanting, "We want Albert."
I love it. I love it. Everybody coming out trying to find. I mean, for many of these fans here in attendance, likely the last time they'll get a chance to see Albert. Great presentation, as we talked about before the game, by the Nationals, honoring he and Yachty.
The strikeout of Carlson, and the first out. While we have a moment, a quick word from Ryan Kelly.
This Ryan Kelly. Can you believe this guy started his business like that, just knocking on doors? Now he's the best in the industry. Ryan Kelly, the homeloanexpert.com.
Brendan Donovan, and the pitch taken for a strike. The Cat will take you in the clubhouse after the ball game today and get the thoughts of Ali Marmol, and I'm sure you're going to hear from Andre Palante. Here's an 0-1 pitch to Donovan. Down and in. I mean, in all honesty, you can't shake the man.
That's what makes him good at what he does.
Good, bad, and different. He's there with that microphone ready.
Whether you like it or not, yeah.
That's right.
It's part of the job.
You've told me that
the
Cat never had you on the pregame as a guest.
That is a fact.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
He has everybody on.
That's what I thought. Kept looking around. I'm like, oh, surely he'll see me. I'll just sit in front of my locker more. Crickets, though. Never heard from him.
Did you ever go to him and say, hey, why not
look, I don't want to beg.
Throw me a little time here.
I'm not going to beg for it. Like, did I want it? Yeah, obviously. The exposure that you get being on the pregame show is second to none. But I was too proud to beg.
Is that right?
Yeah, and honestly, I think I probably should have. Would have helped me.
There's been times, though, where Jim has interviewed a guy, and then they go south. Next thing they're DFA'd.
I think he's probably still got a pretty good overall average, success average.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. Generally speaking.
I wouldn't shy away from talking to him if I were one of these guys.
Okay. The 2-2 pitch. Low. And the 3-2 to Donovan. He walked him. Cardinals have received 4 walks today.
Well, the 2 biggest walks obviously were the first 2 of the ball game. It was starter Josiah Gray in the 4th inning. He walked Gorman, walked Newbar. Ultimately, it was Corey Dickerson that hit the 3-run home run that's been the biggest difference maker in this ball game.
There's nobody throwing in the St. Louis bullpen. Andre Palante will have a chance to finish it.
Excited for him. He's looked so good.
So runners at first and second. And the first pitch, a ball to Paul Goldschmidt. And the next is low. 2 balls and no strikes. I'm assuming that the Cat interviewed you on post game.
Oh yeah, at times. Generally part of a scrum and asking hard-hitting questions like, what happened? You saw it. You know what happened.
Pop Warner. Speaking of the Cat, cat-like reflexes down there from Pop.
Agile, isn't he? I mean, that's one of the first words that pop up when Pop Warner is brought up. Agile, mobile, hostile when he needs to be.
I think the latter is the one that comes to mind for me. The 2-2. And it's taken high. Arenado on deck.
Well, Abbott trying to go with that slider. That's been a pitch that in this ball game today, Goldie has just not been picking up. Out there reaching for that pitch, or fanned at a couple that way. But he doesn't have as good of a feel for that pitch.
And the 3-2, a swing and a miss, and Goldie strikes out for the Third time he's 0 for 5 today.
Oh, the slider again doesn't move a ton, but starts away, stayed away.
Jim Hayes has just told me that he asked you, quote, why so much trouble getting people out?
Yeah, like I said, hard-hitting questions.
Uh-huh. Did he say that?
Probably.
He wouldn't have said that to you.
I don't know. I think that over the years he's grown to ask better questions, but he asked some bad ones back in the day.
Is that right?
There's a good chance he asked something like that.
So he's grown into the job.
I think so. And look, he's been doing it pretty well. No more clown questions for him.
It's a clown question, bro. He also said he wanted to know why you get so angry. I have not seen that side of you, Brad.
That's gotten a lot better, I've told you.
Stop playing.
Exactly. Anger's not there anymore. Sleep better.
Popped up. Left side. And the catch made. 5-0. Palante will try to go the distance when we come back. He's our player of the game. No surprise here. The starter, Andre Palante.
He has set the tempo early and often in this game. Again, pitching with everything in the zone. Then he's able to expand and get swing and misses like that one. 8 strikeouts, 9 outs on the ground so far for Andre Palante. He has been so good, but he's not done yet.
So the complete games, Cardinal rookie since 2000. Bud Smith had the no-hitter. Anthony Reyes in 06. Jaime Garcia and Shelby Miller. That game with Anthony Reyes, I think, was a loss.
It was a loss. It was a 1-0 loss. It was a
Jim Thome hit a home run.
It's exactly right. It was a solo home run, and you remember.
That's off the glove of Nolan Gorman and a base hit.
Just out of the reach. Yeah, that one with Reyes, Dan, was on the heels of a game where the White Sox hit everything. I think they scored like 13 runs. A bunch of them were early in this game. Get another look at how close Gorman came to catching this sinking liner.
Anthony Reyes came up big in the World Series, too.
Sure did. Game 1 outduels Verlander.
Yep. And he is a firefighter in California.
Yes, he is. A great dude. It was fun to watch him in the World Series, wasn't it?
It's great.
Just blowing fastballs by people.
Yep. Four-seamer up.
Yep.
Here's Lane Thomas. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays. That's a fair ball inside the third base line. Into the corner. And dug out by Corey Dickerson. Ryan Helsley is up and throwing for St. Louis in the bullpen. So back-to-back hits to start the 9th. Runners at second and third.
The frustrating part, it's really back-to-back hits that weren't hit very hard. You had the sinking liner just out of the reach of Gorman, and then this ground ball that finds its way down the line.
And that's going to be it. The high fives, but he was mad. He wanted to finish it. Not mad at Ollie. I think just frustrated that he didn't have the chance to finish it.
Well, of course, and you understand it. But incredible job by Andre Palante. He was efficient. Longest outing of his big league career. But that's how you want him to feel. You want him to feel like he should be able to nail that one down. And again, it was just 2 soft hits. One just out of the reach of the outstretched Gorman. Ground ball down the line, but he did his job and then some. Now you're going to lean on Ryan Helsley with runners on second and third. Your Chevy call to the bullpen to get his job done.
So looking at what's happened this season in Major League Baseball, it's been a total of 15 complete games. 15. That's it. And 2 by Waino and Michaelis together, and those are both losses.
Yeah. You just don't see it.
So Helsley, his 34th appearance, pitched 4 days ago against the Blue Jays, was dominant. And the first pitch is fouled back. So far this month, 10 2/3, 4 hits total in the month.
Well, with Ryan Helsley on the mound, too, I don't think you have to squint too hard to see this ball game ending with those guys still standing there at second and third. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that he's got and has shown you all year.
And the 0-1 pitch. Helsley has allowed 14 hits on the year. Right-handers hitting .099 against him. The lefties 109. It truly has been. It's starting to pile up to be a historic season.
Yes, it is.
And the 1-1 pitch. This is where he was so good, too, in terms of inherited runners last year and again this season. Could shut the door. And fouled back.
Well, the win here would even up this road trip for the Cardinals at 4-4. Talked about the off day tomorrow. Excitement with the Cubs coming into town. The trade deadline Tuesday. The Yankees following them. It should be an awesome week, but you want to set it off on the right foot here by nailing this thing down.
Now, you've been in that spot. You pitched well. Waino, let's say, is not pitching that day. What's the conversation he's having?
Look, first of all, he's propping him up and just telling him, look what happens when you're pounding the strike zone and you're getting ahead and your stuff is good and it plays. And then he's always there just as an ear too. Like if he's got any questions or what'd you see? You know, Adam Wainwright is a great sounding board. He'll offer information. And one of the greatest things I think about Adam, one of the greatest attributes he has, he's always trying to learn. I mean, he might be asking Palante some questions about, hey, how'd you do this in this spot? Or what were you thinking here?
The 3-2 pitch by Helsley. A swing and a miss and a strikeout. It brings in Soto.
Well, no messing around, just 100 miles an hour away. Hernandez tries to do anything that he can to put a bat on it. Can't get there.
That's a fun matchup here. So tomorrow it could be the final game for Soto. They've got the Mets in town tomorrow. Be interesting to see those at bats. The ovation and what they anticipate, what the crowd may do.
Well, you've got Scherzer and DeGrom you're going against in the first couple, so that should be fun. By the way, this is fun, as you mentioned. That first pitch, 102, and Soto was ready for it, geared up, big swing. These are the kind of matchups you live for watching. If you're a baseball fan, these are pretty good.
So 2 all-stars squaring off here. And the next inside, and it's 1-1. The 1-1 pitch. The check swing, he went 1-2. Ryan Helsley is filthy. Man,
Wow.
oh man.
I think that pitch right there, 92-mile-an-hour slider that ends up bouncing. You don't see that swing from Juan Soto very often. I mean, this guy, the takes are automatic. The weight is generally back. Like, he sees it right out of the hand. Obviously could not pick that one up.
The 1-2 pitch. Got him on the outside corner and a strikeout at 102. Painting on the outside corner.
So a couple of good sliders. Didn't get the call on one, then bounce one, got Soto in swing mode and just blows 102 away. Right by him. Soto thought it was out, definitely catches the plate. And just like that, runners on second and third, nobody out. You got 2 outs with a couple of punch outs from Helsley.
Like Romine there too, down on one knee, soft with the hands. And it's Josh Bell. And Helsley and the Cardinals 1 out away. And Bell pops it up. A souvenir. So trying to make it 2 out of 3 here in Washington. And Ryan Helsley coming in with runners at second and third, nobody out. And 2 strikes away from making sure the Nationals stay off the board. The Nationals have been shut out 8 times. Cardinals have shut out their opponents 8 times. And the 0-1 inside. The next is high and away. 2 balls and a strike. Since the beginning of last year, Helsley has inherited 46 runners. Only 5 have scored. 5.
I mean, that's almost impossible.
Yes. The 2-1 pitch to Bell. Now 2-2. The 2-2. And that's hit out of play. Cardinal fans behind the St. Louis dugout on their feet. Another 2-2 pitch by Ryan Helsley. Put in play by Bell. Carlson is there, and the Cardinals have a 5-0 win, and they take 2 of 3 here in Washington.
Well, how about the game from Andre Pallante? Goes 8+ innings. Helsley comes in, locks that thing down. Dickerson had himself a day. 3 hits, the 3-run home run, and the Cardinals end up evening up this road trip. Nice game.
And it's off to the post-game show. Helsley and Pallante dominant on the mound for St. Louis this afternoon. Stay with us. Plenty of Cardinals coverage coming up. It's 5-0 the final.
Win the rubber match in D.C. Our Bosky joins me to break it all down on Cardinals Live. Andre Pallante dealing this afternoon in the nation's capital. Hungo tells us what made him so good. Plus, Corey Dickerson providing the offense early. We'll show you what he did, and we're going to bring you plenty of post-game reaction, including Ollie Marmol's post-game press conference. Stay with us. Cardinals Live comes your way next.